Okay, let's get started. Okay, thank you everyone for coming to our workshop. So this is the third iteration of SIGARCH Visioning Workshop on Agile and Open Hardware Design. Chris Batten from Cornell and Yang Sabli from Sci-Fi and I co-organized this workshop. And this workshop is also sponsored by SIGARCH. So a brief overview of the SIGARCH Visioning Workshop. This is started in 2016. This is the third iteration of the SIGARCH Visioning Workshop. The goal of the workshop is to enable innovative research, not only in computer architecture, but across different areas. The first workshop happens in Korea, co-located with ISCA 2016. It's organized by Louis Sazay, Thomas Winich, Mark Yu, and CRA CCC. So this workshop is targeting the new research questions for the next 10 or 15 years in computer architecture. The second iteration of the workshop happened in 2017 at ISCA in Toronto, organized by Olivia Tunam, focusing on the interesting intersections between machine learning and computer hardware. And this is the third workshop. And Chris, Yang-Sep, and I are really interested in thinking about how we can better highlight the need of agile and open hardware design, and also discuss some of the interesting ongoing research in this space. And we also like to thank SIGARCH for the wonderful support, especially the SIGARCH Visioning Committee from Louis Sazay, Joe Emmer, and Karen Strauss for providing guidance along the way. So why do we want to talk about agile and open hardware design now? With the slowdown of Moore's law, we need more vertically integrated solutions to think about how we can better design more efficient computer hardware. At the same time, the increasingly hardware design cost, especially in labor, IPs, and also the tools, make it really difficult to design hardware for not only one application, but a broad range of different applications. At the same time, we look at the software design community. There has been a lot of effort in thinking about how we can better design agile and open software and create a reusable community and ecosystem for better development of software industry. At the same time, way I like to think about this is a time for us to think about hardware design now, how we can also apply the agile and open hardware design methodology in the hardware space to design more efficient hardware. In particular, we'd like to use this opportunity to advocate that the architecture and the system community should make agile and open source hardware design a centerpiece of our academic enterprise. We also like to share the successful experience initiating and also managing open source hardware projects. We also like to discuss some of the ongoing efforts in not only computer architecture, but the system EDA communities to think about how we can better promoting open and agile hardware design. We have a great lineup of speakers today. We have speakers from programming languages, computer architecture, EDAs, and also hardware design communities. The first part of the talk will be more focusing on the open hardware, while the second part of the talk will be more focusing on the agile hardware design. Dave Patterson will open up our workshop on highlighting the importance of open and agile hardware design, especially for the next generation computing, while Vivian Zi from MIT will highlighting the importance of how we can better apply agile and open hardware design approach when we think about emerging applications. Serge Li from DARPA will talk about some of the funding opportunities in this space, especially how we can better design secure processors with better design methodology. And Andrew Kang from UCSD will talk about some of the open source EDA projects in this space on lowering the hardware design cost. We'll have a short break, and the next two talks will be thinking about how we can build a good open source hardware community. So Yungang Bao from Chinese Academy of Sciences will talk about how we can build open source hardwares, especially talking about some of the ongoing efforts in China. And Richard Ho will talk about the recently announced CHIPS Alliance and how we can design and also leverage the open source hardware to lower the hardware design cost. Well, second, the afternoon talk will be focusing on the Agile approach. Mark Horowitz from Stanford will talk about the Agile hardware design going on at Stanford, leveraging the domain-specific languages, while Jason Kang from UCLA will talk about how we can use FPGA to build more efficient and specialized hardware. Bruce Akalani from NVIDIA will talk about how we use high-level synthesis in industry and some of the ongoing work in applying machine learning to design EDA tools. The second session in the afternoon, Bora Nikolic from UC Berkeley will talk about some of the ongoing efforts at Berkeley for the past few years in building Agile hardware design. And Adam Chipola from MIT will conclude our workshop in talking about how we can use formal verification to design better and more secure RISC-V system. So without further ado, Chris Batten will introduce our first speaker of the workshop.